When I made a poll to see what hero people wanted to see in a guide the most, I was kinda surprised to see Sandwraith at the top of the list. Being a Dota port, most ported heroes already have plenty of guides done on them, or experienced players simply already know how to use them. Also, typically hard carry heroes in general don't really need as much in-depth coverage compared to other hero types, in my opinion. Sandwraith is a hard carry hero that has undergone a lot of changes, and quite honestly, will probably undergo more changes even after this video goes live. A while back, Sandwraith is actually one of the most picked carries in the game, but due to the nature of HoN changing so rapidly and turtle-based strategies no longer being used, along with some nerfs to his abilities, Sandwraith quickly drifted into obscurity. I like to think that every hard carry hero has some sort of bonus, some sort of advantage that other hard carries don't have. Kronos can be an initiator, Scout is hard to kill and gives free wards and counter wards, and Madman has great roaming ability and is very agile. Sandwraith's claim to fame is that he's a hero that can gank without you actually having to leave the lane to stop farming. I'm only going to go over his spells briefly because honestly I'm scared they might change soon. Desert's Curse is your bread and butter. It's a nuke, it's a slow, it's a chasing ability, it's your escape mechanism, all built into one. This is your core ability and that's why I level it up first. One thing I should note about Desert's Curse is the range. It's huge. Note that you gain vision over anywhere the sand paths. Enemies who walk on the sand are slowed, but they will not trail additional sand unless they are targeted directly. For this reason, when ganking and focusing down one person, it is important to nuke the target directly, simply because A, the slow will last longer and be unavoidable regardless of where they walk, and B, you will have vision of them the entire time, something extremely crucial for a ganking Sandwraith because you want to maximize your auto-attack damage. Deserted, aside from your ult and slow, is what gives Sandwraith ganking power regardless of items early to mid-game. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Deserted is a fairly weak ability. However, since I like to play a ganking Sandwraith, I want to maximize my early game damage by leveling Deserted alongside Desert's Curse. Nothing needs to be said about Dissipate. It's your late game in a passive, making you much more tanky while also dropping some good AoE damage around you. Your ultimate is really two things in one. Early on, it's a ganking tool used mostly for teleporting to wounded enemies and finishing them off, or to assist with small-scale teamfights and ganks to turn them around. Late game, however, your ultimate becomes much more than that, becoming a massive teamfight spell since your illusions will deal great amounts of damage. Sandwraith is a hero that relies heavily on teammates. I would suggest that you have a ganker or two in your hero lineup, both so you can assist them in ganking, and that your enemy team will be on their toes early game, giving you more room to farm. Let's talk laning phase. Sandwraith has one of the fastest and best attack animations in the game. However, after his attack lands, there will be a fairly long animation of him swinging his dagger longer than he needs to. Because of this, it's crucial that you animation cancel with Sandwraith as much as possible, not only while ganking but also while last hitting. Once you have your ultimate, you can theoretically start ganking. I use the term ganking liberally, of course, as Sandwraith is in no position to take heroes head-on who are still capable of fighting. Sandwraith's ganks are more like janitor ganks. He specializes in cleaning up running heroes or heroes with no mana. Like the spell name Deserted suggests, while ulting you should always look at the hero dots and judge how fast teammates will be able to assist the hero that you are targeting. Take care when teleporting to heroes near towers. Experienced players will use homecoming stones to stop your assault on wounded heroes, and one stun, slow, or mobilize can easily put Sandwraith out of business fast. As already mentioned, Sandwraith is a hero who can be in two places at once. While other hard carries are sometimes expected to help mid-game teamfights in which they risk wasting time or waiting for initiation or simply end up dying, Sandwraith can sit comfortably in his lane farming, waiting for the perfect moment to strike regardless of where the fight takes place. Although this gives Sandwraith lots of time to farm, he isn't very good at farming, sadly. When ganking with Sandwraith, you must animation cancel while attacking. I can't stress this enough. Sandwraith's attack animation will go on longer than it needs to, and simply right-clicking a hero will more or less cut your damage in half early game. If you don't feel like a Korean while you're auto-attacking, you aren't doing it right. Your fingers should be moving faster than Michael J. Fox playing StarCraft. Item-wise, Sandwraith is a very controversial hero. I've done my homework, asked around, and I've come to one conclusion. Mockery Brilliance usually isn't as good as an item for Sandwraith as you might think. It's true that Sandwraith with a Mockery Brilliance is extremely powerful. The problem is, most of the time in high-skilled level games, you won't be able to farm a Mockery Brilliance fast enough, and even if you do, you won't be able to be useful to your team in the meantime. Also, consider the following. Any form of straight plus damage from items you get on Sandwraith do not add plus damage to illusions. That's plus 60 damage that you get from your Mockery Brilliance does not in any way, shape, or form carry over to Sandwraith's illusions. The only way to increase the damage that the illusions do is to purchase agility. Agility will not only increase the damage, but it will also increase the illusion's attack speed. So, for a mixed bag of reasons, I usually don't get Mock on Sandwraith. Instead, I rush a Nullfire Blade. Nullfire Blade provides high agility for illusions as well as mana burn and an extremely reliable slow to top off your already great slow. After Nullfire, things get even more controversial. If you have to get a Mock, I would at least have you hold out until this point. Generally, Geometer's Bane is what you want to be aiming for. Frostburn is another okay choice, and if you're feeling particularly sophisticated, you can actually make the Frostburn first, disassemble it once you have the money for a Blessed Orb, and use the Firebrand to make the Geometers, and either keep your Frostbrand or make it into a Frostwolf Skull later. But really, depending on the situation, you can get most any late game carry item you want. Wingbow, for example, adds a bunch of damage both to you and your illusions. If your team really needs you as a tank, Behemoth's Heart can give you extra survivability both for you and your illusions.